Good afternoon and welcome to a special episode of the Georgia Farm Bureau Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA state title. Today we're going to be joined by Kareem Rush. Played at Mizzou. He's from Kansas City. He comes from a great basketball family. Played multiple years in the NBA. Played overseas as well. And now he is with the Alumni Basketball League. Off in probably about 2 weeks, and then they're coming to Georgia on July 22nd for a rivalry game between alumni from Georgia and Georgia Tech. It's going to be the Real Dogs against the Mean Jackets. We'll be talking to Kareem about that and much more to just get an insight of the ABL, but let's go ahead and welcome on Kareem. Okay, he's frozen right now. Okay, we just had him on. I think he was in his car. And so this is one of 5 games, and I think it's a really unique idea to have these college rivalries going up against each other. You look at other sports like, let's just use college football as an example. Once you're done playing college football, you go to the you go to the NFL, or your career is pretty much over. But with basketball, a lot of these guys are playing overseas. They're playing year-round, and they're staying active and staying in the gym. And so in terms of an alumni game, this isn't like something you'd see during the MLB All-Star game where you have some older guys. It's like, no, these are guys still at an elite level playing. They're going to get paid to participate in this, and then it's really going to grow. And so the first game is going to be on July 15th. That looks like it's going to be between, I think that's the one at Fairmont State. That's going to be Maryland against West Virginia. We'll have the Georgia versus Georgia Tech one. They also have a Clemson versus South Carolina one on July 29th. Also the Georgetown versus Syracuse after that, August 6th. And then to close things off, a battle between Kansas and Kansas State.
You might have to tell him to leave.
Okay. One sec, let me text Kareem real quick. One sec, guys. And so far we know the captains of the two teams, and actually they go by general managers. They don't have a coach. This is player driven, and for Georgia Tech it's going to be Mario West, a truly great jacket back in the day. I mentioned on Wednesday I actually got to see him in the college slam dunk contest in 2005, and he won it and was just a really exciting, electric player for Georgia Tech. And so I'm excited to see him kind of leading the Jackets to see who's going to get this win. Once again, it's going to be at West Forsyth Gym in Cumming, Georgia, July 22nd at 7 p.m. You can get your tickets at ablballin.com. You'll see the different links for the games. We also have a story posted at scoreatl.com. Tickets start at $25. You'll get an up-close and personal look at this battle for obvious state bragging rights. Hey, Kareem, how's it going?
Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. So I want to talk about this idea you have. I think it's really exciting. When I look at, I mentioned college football. Once these guys are done at college, you either go to the NFL or your career's kind of over. But in terms of college basketball, these guys are still playing. They're playing overseas in a lot of cases, and you really have an opportunity to fill a space that doesn't yet exist. So what was it about the decision to form this Alumni Basketball League?
Yeah, so if you look back at 2017, the idea was kind of birthed for me, playing that first year of the Big Three, which is the Ice Cube 3-on-3 league. And at the same time, the TBT tournament was going on, which is the $1 million winner-take-all tournament in Vegas. And when I took a deeper dive into that tournament, I saw that 2017 were former college alumni teams, and then saw, through the big three, there were tons of guys with my level of experience looking to play, ways to play in the summertime. So, 2018, I decided to put on a tester game. I did KU versus MU in Kansas City. The city loved it. The players loved it. Follow up in 2019 and do 14, but ran into some scheduling conflicts and didn't do year 2. And then obviously through COVID, it kind of still on the shelf. So last year we decided to bring the concept back with one of my former teammates, Jake Jackson, and we put a game on in Maryland versus Georgetown. And, again, we sold that out. And, like I said, the same thing. The buzz was really crazy around it. So here we are, 2023. We got 5 games on the docket. And like you mentioned, guys are still looking for an opportunity to play, especially these guys that come back and try to find ways to play in these summer leagues. So why not play in the league to get paid and also play back in front of those fan bases that really love you? Because like I said, a lot of our guys are still high-level overseas guys. They're fans that follow them in college. Don't get a chance, but they can come back in the summertime, play in our league, make some money, and play back in front of those fan bases that love them.
That's right. And with the big three, I was involved, I think, when they came to Atlanta. But correct me if I'm wrong, didn't 3-on-3 basketball become an Olympic sport kind of around that same time, and that opened it up?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of these older guys, especially when I first played in the big three, you're 36, 37, you don't want to go overseas and play because at this point in time, you probably got a family. So the big three was created, gave a lot of guys an opportunity, they gave a platform for guys to come back and play. 3-on-3 basketball is a big deal globally, but here in the States, it's kind of behind. But the big three is a great concept. I think where they falter is basketball. The guys are a little bit up in age, so the half court thing may not, really hit with fans. But with our league, but I want our group of guys to be, fairly young, still active, in all the basketball up to par, where fans are tuning in to really watch some great basketball and great play at their peaks.
Yeah, it's such a great point. You're talking about 3-on-3 being popular globally. You're 100% right. I remember seeing just in some countries in Asia, they'd set up a tournament at a mall and then they're playing for cash prizes. So when I see what you're doing with these alumni games, and then not only just the bragging rights for Georgia going up against Georgia Tech, but really being able to get to a point where these alumni teams are playing for like a serious prize.
Yeah. I mean, beyond the bragging rights, people want to know who's the best alumni team in the country, especially as a former player. Yeah. I want to know. I want to go against those former rivalries that I only got a chance to play for 3 or 4 years in college. I went to school for 3 years. KU is obviously our biggest rival. Never got a chance to play against my younger brother with the KU. So imagine me being able to play against him finally in the ABL. So again, college, all we're trying to do is tap back into that college nostalgia, that fandom. And again, for a lot of players, the most fun time you had in life was during your college years. So why not get back on campus and relive some of those great moments that you had in college?
And I want to ask you about Kansas City. I mean, I think that is an incredible sports town. That's where you guys kind of reside, your family, your brother's a great basketball family. But you were talking about how big those rivalries were with whether it's KU and Mizzou. You got K-State right there also. What have you seen just with basketball in the Midwest and just how huge college is?
Oh yeah, I mean we're definitely a basketball part of the country, especially for my family. We're known for basketball. So for us, for me to be able to come back home and build a league, kind of started here in Kansas City, it means a lot to me. And the fan base has been tremendously supportive. Ideally they want that KU-MU matchup. But we have that next year. But for this year, KU K-State would be a great matchup, and we got some great players coming back. We got most of that 2008 championship, Kansas team. The K-State team is heavily stacked and loaded. Like I said, a lot of these guys are already coming back and playing and staying in shape to play for the TBT tournament. So, we getting the best of the best And we hope to, we also do small NIL deals. So we want to show those current college kids, soon they're done, the ABL is a great opportunity for them to play during the summer times.
That's right. And so, in your role with kind of in the leadership role of the ABL, we have this game on July 22nd. So how do you handle just like the travel for the players that are going to be participating in it? How early do you anticipate them to show up and just kind of get prepared, maybe have a practice or two and really come out and put on a show?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of our guys are within those same regions. A lot of the Georgia guys and the Georgia Tech guys reside in Atlanta. So we have guys come in on Saturday, day before the game, do a practice so we can get photo ops and all that stuff, interviews that we need for our marketing purposes and social purposes, and let those guys practice and get a chance to learn each other. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to build this out into a league where these guys can game time. So they come back into Atlanta and really prep for this league to say, who's going to be the best alumni team, crowned at the end of the summer. So that's what we're working towards. Our first couple of years is going to be really kind of solidifying on those historic rivalries. But hopefully next year we'll move and the concept where about 3 where we got 32 teams competing to be crowned who's the best alumni team in the country.
Yep, and obviously, I mean, this Georgia Tech rivalry, it's just so huge in the state. Obviously, football, Georgia's kind of had their number recently, but in terms of the basketball history, I mean, I think it's been really competitive. Georgia Tech's had some really solid teams, made a ton of history, obviously great players from both programs. What was your experience maybe kind of watching those colleges growing up or just going up against some of them over the years? Slight delay.
But looking for, so I'm excited to get those guys. Mario West has been a great GM. Jermaine Jones, who I played with in Philly, who's GM in the Georgia team, has been great for us. So we're just excited to kind of get down there and really kind of see what Atlanta and Cummings has as far as both these fan bases are concerned. But we expect to be a great turnout. We're gonna have some great stuff. We got great performances. We got raffle for boys and girls. So we got a lot of stuff going on. It's gonna make it a great event.
And let's talk about the game format now. It's 4 quarters. Now, I heard that there's something kind of unique you guys are doing at the end of each quarter with the leading team against the team that's trailing in terms of a one-on-one. Explain that a little bit.
No, what she volunteered to do was she volunteered to do one night.
Yeah, so we're trying to find ways to be exciting, be unique, in the landscape. And, we came up with the idea, not only just the eliminating, which has been adopted by the TBT and the NBA, which is at the end of the fourth quarter, there's a target score, the shot clock goes off, every game ends in the main bucket. So it makes the excitement even higher. But what we also did was a one losing team gets a chance to pick their best offensive player. They can only one player per game. So you got to pick an 8-second shot clock. If you score 3 or get 5, your point total. The defense gets no points if they get a stop. They can also score or they get a steal or a block shot. Just excitement to our game. Highlights our players in the deals, from a one standpoint. And it's going to be some fun for the fans to side pack really quick. An exciting one-on-one matchup.
Okay, and explain a little further what the point target's going to be for these matchups.
Yeah. So the eliminating is, okay, so say the target score going into the fourth quarter or going into the 4-minute mark is 75 to 72. The shot clock goes off, and for our game, we got a target score. We add 11 points to that target score. Whoever makes it to 86 wins the game. So it allows those in-game runs. Say the team's down 15 points, they can go on a 20-0 run to win the game. So you're not worried about the shot clock. So NBA adopted it in All-Star Weekend last year. It's been really popular with the TBT. So we thought, and I believe that all in the games are going to be moving towards this model because, like I said, it provides excitement. And every game ends on a made bucket.
Awesome. And then let's just talk a little bit about rivalries in sports and why you feel like that's just such an important thing to be adding to what the ABL is doing. Just some of the best rivalries you've gotten to experience, and just why that's such a kind of appealing thing for fans to be a part of.
Because it really hits all age groups and all demographics. I mean, you're born into, loving your college university. I was born. I would no one in my family went to Missouri, but I've been around enough KU people that, from birth they got you in a KU. So those things and that fandom, that love are born are deep, and they run from age 1 all the way up to 99. It's going to be able to kind of tap into every demo. And like I said, just tap back into that college fandom. I think it's a great opportunity for our guys to come back and play. I think the fans are going to love it. I think every university that we've spoken to, they all want their former guys to stay involved with the school. So we're just kind of creating that bridge between the schools and former players, so we keep that connection strong.
And then kind of off topic, but I want to talk about Kansas City specifically. I've got family from there. My sister's name is actually Casey. But we were always talking about what a great fit Kansas City would be for a potential NBA franchise. Obviously, the Kansas City Kings used to be from there, but I mean, you've been kind of on the ground. Have you heard any possibility of that ever happening, and how do you think it would turn out if Kansas City was able to join the NBA?
Oh, we have the T-Mobile Center downtown, so it's itching for somebody to come in and play in. I mean, there were talks over the last few years about KC getting the team. Obviously the fan base here loves our sports. Kansas, basically our pro team. Unfortunately, Missouri's not there yet, but KU, through the history of winning, has become the pro team here in town. But, Kansas City can certainly house a professional team. I think we're probably down the list as far as getting one. I think Seattle's going to get one. I think Vegas may get one before us. But at some point, we would love to have a franchise. Maybe the first professional team would be the ABL team here in town. So, but yeah, KC is a great sports town.
And then when you went to Mizzou, was that the year after?
You cutting that kind of out. I can't hear you.
When you first committed to Mizzou, was that when Norm Stewart, was that his last year before Quinn Snyder came in?
That's fine. It's my responsibility. I mean, I'm the one.
Yeah, I actually got kind of recruited. I didn't really think about Mizzou at that point. I fell in love with Coach Q when he got the job. I was a huge Duke fan, so I followed Coach K and Coach Q throughout the years. So when he got the job, he flew to Missouri. Came to my mom and grandma's house. My mom and grandma loved him. Me and Q share a lot of similarities. We got the same birthday and all that type of stuff. So I was Quinn's first recruit down in Mizzou, and the rest is history. That's my guy.
Nice. Yeah, my family is obviously big Mizzou fans. We loved watching those teams for sure. Talk about being the middle brother, though. We're mentioning 3-on-3 teams. I'm sure the Rushes were a pretty formidable one back in the day, but what was that like, just having a basketball family, 2 talented brothers, one older, one younger, and just what that was like kind of shaping your game together?
I mean, it was groundbreaking for me because my brother was a basketball phenom, so I had an everyday reminder to always work on my game until his 11th grade year. He was the #1 player in the country. So to play at a high level in basketball became kind of, my whole life's focus. And like I said, my older brother was my role model and still to this day my favorite player that I've ever played with. And I played with Kobe and all those guys. So that's how impactful my older brother was on my career. But my younger brother, he came in 5 years, so I'm sure it was tough for him growing up in our shadow. But as you want with any other brother, you want them to do better than you did previously. So it's been that stepping stone for each one of us. I went a little further than Jerron, and then Brandon went a little further than me. So we couldn't be more proud of each other and have that support system, since we were kids.
And then, what would you say with the current rosters for a lot of these teams, specifically our matchup, but also the others? How many of these guys are still on teams and playing like the year-round or half the year schedules? Hold tight, guys. Okay, looks like it delayed. But yeah, I mean, that's great stuff so far. I think what they were mentioning is even if a guy is playing overseas, I mean, this opportunity is still there for them. They're getting guys fresh out of college. I mean, you're an alum once you graduate, and that's really where they see the vision of this going. And that would certainly just be another exciting thing. But, I mean, these are all young guys, upper 30s, lower 30s, that have still been getting it done. I thought that was interesting what he was talking about with the game format, having that target score. That makes it exciting, makes the games a lot closer, makes possessions a premium because there's not going to be a shot clock. You're going to see teams go for that target and be able to go for a potential run. If you have a target score and you're down by 3 and you don't have to worry about the shot clock, you might as well take that shot. And so it's going to be an exciting ending for sure. In terms of the Georgia Tech rivalry, I don't want to put him on the spot too much, but I would like to see kind of who he thinks is going to win that matchup. Hey Kareem, sorry about that. Can you hear us?
Am I back on?
Yes. Can you hear me now? All right, Kareem, can you hear me? All right, there's a significant delay. We'll try to get that figured out. But obviously a lot goes into this from Kareem's role leading this entire he calls just a revolution in professional sports, the concept, the idea, and then what they're trying to get done. Thought it was interesting how they had their first test run in 2017. That was the same year that the Big Three was conceptualized and started by Ice Cube. You mentioned some of the other inspirations was that big Vegas tournament with the prize money. So they had the 2017 college alumni game that was KU versus Mizzou. So it was a huge hit. Then they bumped it up to 4 teams after, I think, year 2, or one of those years got disrupted by the COVID. But then last year they had the big Maryland versus Georgetown game. And now they have the 5-game summer schedule, and they're stopping in Georgia once again on July 22nd. That is a Friday. It's going to be at 7 p.m. There will be a youth game beforehand, and then I think at halftime, the winner, or I'm going to have to ask them for further details, but I think they're also going to get to do something at halftime, maybe take a half-court shot for a prize or something. But then the proceeds of this will go to West Forsyth High School's athletics. That is the school that stepped up to host this. And then they also have celebrity appearances. And then every single one of these games has a tremendous group or singer that's going to be doing the national anthem. I was looking at the list. It's either someone that appeared on The Voice or American Idol. So they're really trying to make it feel like a great environment that matches the talent on the court. He mentioned the captain of Georgia's team's going to be Jermaine Jones, who he said he played with, I believe, with the Pacers once he was in the NBA. That would have been 2007 or 2008. Let me pull that up real quick. And yeah, I mean, his first stint in the NBA was with the Lakers in the early 2000s, playing with Shaq and Kobe. And I think that was a team that actually went to that Western Conference Finals. I think it was against the Minnesota Timberwolves with Wally Szczerbiak, Sam Cassell, Mark Madsen. Who else was on? I think Latrell Sprewell was on that team. And then the Lakers ended up beating them. Might be getting off by a year, but then falling to the Detroit Pistons. But playing with Kobe and Shaq team, he mentioned his two brothers. Jerron Rush, he was the older brother. All of them went to Pembroke High School in Kansas City. He ended up going to UCLA. Had a great career there. And then he entered the NBA in 2000, or after the 2000s. Okay, I remember that now. Yeah, so he went to UCLA, and then the draft did not go his way in 2000, but then Kareem came up, goes in the first round, and then Brandon Rush was the youngest of the three. He actually went to Westport High School, played at Kansas, and then was the 13th pick in the 2008 draft. Played for the Pacers, Warriors, Utah Jazz, Warriors, Timberwolves, and then Larissa from 2019 to 2021, and that is the Greek League, a super talented league that a lot of college stars and guys go to after their collegiate careers. All right, so once again, you guys can go to ablballin.com to check out everything about the Alumni Basketball League. Got all the matchups there. You can look at the rosters and then learn more about the leadership team at the ABL. In addition to Kareem, it's also Jake Jackson. I think he was the former teammate with Kareem under Quinn Snyder. Small world, isn't it? And Jake, he currently serves as the founder and managing partner of Card Sound Capital. He is the CEO of two portfolio companies, Terra Solutions and the Alumni Basketball League. A successful entrepreneur and investor, Jake began his career as a law associate attorney with the Pulcinelli law firm out of Kansas City, focusing his practice on mergers and acquisitions. Later, Jake became an assistant attorney general at the Missouri Attorney General's office under former AG and governor of Missouri, Jeremy J. Nixon. After leaving the practice of law, Jake, an international company based out of the Netherlands. After 2013, he went on to lead the company's North American operations, which expanded to 6 subsidiaries and over 400 employees for the next several years. In 2013, Jake founded CSC to invest in early-stage privately held companies. Since inception, CSC has invested in numerous commercial real estate, energy, international sports and entertainment, textile, circulatory companies, and assets. In 2019, CSC expanded its investment strategy and now manages 3 significant sports and entertainment-focused holdings under Jackson Sports Ventures, a division within CSC's portfolio. Jake is a proud alumni of the University of Missouri. He reached the Elite Eight in the 2001-2002 season with Kareem Rush, and then graduated with a degree in political science from Mizzou. So there you go right there. I also thought, before we go to a quick break, thought it was interesting what Kareem was saying about Kansas City potentially getting a professional basketball team. Said the talk around town is very supportive for the concept. Kansas City's grown tremendously. It's really in a great location because it's on the border of Kansas and Missouri, obviously, and then all those towns around it go to Kansas City because that's where it's all happening. They have a great downtown area. We saw them host the NFL draft this year, and really they call it the City of Fountains. There's not many places in the U.S. where you have that much support for the sports franchises. Yeah, you have the St. Louis Rams. They aren't there anymore, but you used to have that sort of division, but now it's really the Chiefs' kingdom. still have the Cardinals, but I think they would have great attendance and just support the jersey sales, everything. I think it's there. And what's interesting is Kareem played for the Kansas City Tornado after his NBA career. And I think the GM at that time was Otis Birdsong, an NBA legend that everyone knows. And Otis was first drafted by the Kansas City Kings, so he did play professional basketball in Kansas City before taking over the Tornadoes. I think you have Mahomes with his deal there. I think he'd be supportive to potentially back a franchise. I think there's a lot going on. So we floated the quick break and thank our sponsors when we have a chance, and then we'll be back on the other side.
Mutual Insurance Company, providing financial protection. Our mission has always been to support Georgia farmers. That's why we created Georgia Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, providing financial protection that farmers needed. While this remains the same today, we've grown to protect all Georgians through home, auto, and life insurance. From the very beginning and into the future, we stand for every Georgia community.
We are a Farm Bureau.
All right, welcome back. So the second part of the show, we want to thank Kareem for coming on for sure, and we're definitely going to be talking to him and his team more heading into this. We'll have coverage at scoreatl.com, more details on the rosters, the game format, how to get the tickets, and other entertaining features that are going to be included. So let's talk about the foundation, though, behind it. It's the ABL Legacy Foundation. You can find out more at ablegacyfoundation.org, and it is empowering athletes, building legacies. Our nonprofit foundation is dedicated to fostering a culture of excellence, integrity, and inclusivity in the world of athletics. So the ABL Legacy Foundation Incorporated says, welcome to the Legacy Foundation, where we believe in the power of sports to change lives and communities. Our mission is to empower athletes to achieve their full potential both on and off the court. And I've seen them do kind of a trend we've seen with some of these other organizations that are kind of tapping into sports to kind of fuel their activism and overall mission. It's teaching young athletes things like financial literacy, how to just manage the stresses of everyday life, how to have a support system, a community, and just using sports as a positive vehicle for success. We do this by providing opportunities for athletes to extend their professional careers and by offering resources and support to enable them to continue competing at the highest level. Once again, all this is at their website. They have skill development, education programs, mentorship's a huge part of it, and then community service opportunities. The vision behind it, we believe in the importance of impacted communities through education and basketball prep academy programs. Our goal is to create an environment where athletes can thrive academically and athletically while learning the value of teamwork, and community engagement. Words from Kareem on the Legacy Foundation. He is the founder of it. He says, empower the future of sports by giving back to your community and nurturing young athletes. Your guidance and mentorship can make a difference in their lives and pave a way for a better tomorrow. Absolutely. And on this website, you can see some of the photos from the big matchup between Maryland and Georgetown, and it is really exciting. They've got the whole gym wrapped up in Maryland and Georgetown gear. You can tell it's a big rivalry setting. Everyone's decked out in their respective teams' gear, and hopefully we will be seeing a similar atmosphere with the fans cheering for either Georgia or Georgia Tech. I don't think there's anyone that's going to be bipartisan in that matchup right there. Got to pick your team. All right, so you can also support the ABL Foundation. You can join us on our mission to build a legacy of excellence in the world of athletics and beyond. With your support, we can continue to empower athletes. So you can get involved on their website, learn more. There's a contact right there, and you can look at everything they've been doing, and you'll see where your donation is going to.
I just tried to call Steven, but I need a favor. I need y'all.
So hold on, let me see if there's any more we can touch on
No, I do.
with the foundation.
You know what? Let me see. Because
Okay, so we mentioned kind of the education side of it with some of their programs. So they have direct links where they're pushing young kids towards opportunities in sports business, which is becoming a huge thing. I mean, back in a couple decades ago, that might be something you can study in college. Now it's a major, it's a big time industry to get into. We have former interns here that are killing it right now in the sports business front. All right, so introduction to sports business, sports marketing and promotion, financial management in sports, sports law and ethics. That's huge. People wanting to potentially become an agent or represent an athlete, represent themselves even, all the NIL stuff. I think that sports law is absolutely critical to understand. Also, international sports business, I think that's a huge thing as well to get involved in. That's been a popular thing in all sports. We know the NFL goes over, plays games overseas. We've got Georgia Tech and Boston College, I think, playing in Ireland in a year. Actually, Blessed Trinity and Marist played in Ireland back in 2017 before the Georgia Tech game. So international sports business, sports analytics, another massively popular, growing area and industries right now. The sports analytics are insane. I've been seeing clips from this spring where I think it was out of a Buford practice, but they had a drone set up and they have the capability to film their spring game and have the mile per hour, the acceleration, and all the route trees just downloaded instantly. And it's pretty incredible. I actually tried to get the CEO of that company to come on. We'll see if he ever responded to the DM, but okay, sports journalism and communication. It says this course covers the principles of sports journalism and communication, including writing, reporting, broadcast journalism, and social media. Students will learn how to create compelling content for sports audiences and how to communicate effectively with stakeholders in the sports industry. I really like that. I think quality coverage is a very important thing. That's what the fans want. All right, leadership and management in sports. This course will focus on leadership and management principles as they apply to the sports industry. Students will learn about team building, motivation, conflict resolution, and other topics relevant to sports management. And then finally, the final course in the ABL program curriculum is the internship or capstone project. It allows students to gain hands-on experience in the sports industry through an internship or capstone project. This may involve working with a sports team or organization, conducting research on a sports-related topic, or developing a business plan for a sports venture. Each course is designed to give students a solid foundation in the business of sports and prepare them for a career in this exciting industry. Our courses cover a range of topics from the history of sports business to the use of data and analytics in sports. Students will learn about the principles of sports journalism and communication, how to develop effective marketing campaigns for sports products and services. They will also gain valuable experience through an internship or capstone project, which will allow them to put those skills into practice. It says we are experienced with our professionals, our faculty members coming from the sports industry, they're committed to providing students with high-quality education. Our courses are delivered online, which allows students to study at their own pace and anywhere in the world. So you can contact them at abllegacyfoundation.org/programs. All that info is right there. And so they are based out of Kansas City, but once again, it's online. So we'll be learning more about them. But back to the ABL as it stands. The rivalries, that's huge. Once again, we're going to see who's going to win this first one. I think having it in Cumming should be a family affair if you're in the area. It's obviously really fast growing Forsyth County community right there with all the schools popping up. I think it's a good opportunity to spend a Friday evening watching some good basketball, having fun, cheering for your team, and getting to see some legends back on the court playing very hard against each other. You don't want to lose that matchup for sure. And it is a good opportunity to do well and continue to maybe represent that team again in the future. And then just what the future holds for the ABL. I think it would be exciting to get to a point where, and I know this is where they're aiming to take it, is exactly what he said. Who's the best alumni team in the country? If you get guys excited about this, start pulling guys fresh off their careers. They're even talking about, like, in the future getting a guy like KCP, Caldwell Pope from Georgia, who's still really young and kind of in his height of his basketball career, to come out and make an appearance in this game. I think could end up having a really big prize, like he mentioned, from the Vegas tournament that he went to and kind of drew inspiration from in 2017. There is that opportunity there for sure. And we see it with all these golf tournaments, tennis tournaments, putting that cash prize out there, that bait people to come out and be a part of it. I was telling Najee, I'll join a fishing tournament if there's a $200,000 prize. Sign me up. But obviously basketball, you got to have a little more skills than that. No offense to the fishermen, sorry about that. But yeah, so next week we're going to be getting more of the participants on the show. We'll probably dive deeper into the rosters. Once again, it's going to be the Real Dogs versus the Mean Jackets. The roster size, I think it's going to be about 8 or 10. Might be a little more than that, but each team will have a GM. They're acting kind of as the coach of the team. They're going to be setting the lineup and playing kind of like a captain coach role and making the decisions. And then the in-between quarters thing he was talking about, the GM would be the one that decides who goes out there. There's going to be 8 seconds on the clock, and you'll see if they can get a score or if the defense, which is the team that's trailing, can get a stop and turn it into a basket. I think they would, if they get a stop, then would get the 8 seconds, but we're going to have to check the rules and get all that back up. And then let's see what else we have. And then we'll probably actually might get Jake on next week, Kareem's former teammate and business partner, to talk a little bit more about launching this, and then obviously what it was like to play for Mizzou and maybe his take on Mizzou being in the SEC now and squaring off with Georgia more routinely. Maybe he's an SEC homer now, even though he wasn't in the SEC when he played. But we'll see who. We'll make it fun on who they end up picking in this. But I'm going to look at both these rosters, and I'm going to try to make an informed decision on who I think is going to win. We're going to pull up the stats, look at the size charts, see who has a competitive advantage, and I'm sure Najee will get it right when he makes his pick. that's about it for now. You guys can go once again to ablballin.com. They're also on social media. You can go to scoreatl.com, check out our story. Hope everyone has a good weekend. Thank you again for Kareem to coming on, and we'll see you next week.